The studio light faintly gleamed on the polished table. The audience's steady laughter filled the room, and the air carried the refined atmosphere of late-night television. Behind the curtain wall, thunderous applause. All right, let's give a warm welcome to the man who made us worry about space, Boston, and even an African zoo. Please welcome Matt Damon. Matt stepped onto the stage confidently, but without arrogance. Dark blue sweater, calm smile, movements like someone who'd long mastered balancing between the camera's spotlight and the shadow of the studio wings. Steven stood, gave his guest a friendly, brief hug. They sat, and the applause began to fade. "Matt," Colbert said, suppressing a grin, "let's play Dump the Wikipedia. Tell us something about yourself that even Google doesn't know." Matt gave a slight smile. "I once worked as a waiter in the basement of an Italian restaurant in Pittsburgh. Nobody knew who I was and nobody bothered me. It was the most peaceful month of my life. I even stopped being afraid of the dark." Laughter erupted in the audience. "Genuine." Steven chuckled. "Wow, Pittsburgh? That's practically Hollywood on a budget." "Well, with better pizza," Matt winked. "So, are you in a less stardom, more reality mode these days?" "Not exactly, it's just there's too much fakeness around lately. Sometimes you want to check what's still real." A pause. Only the faint hum of cameras. Someone in the audience coughed quietly. Steven kept his smile, but his brows slightly furrowed. "What's real, Matt?" "People who aren't afraid to say what they think, for example. Even if it's uncomfortable. Even if it's on air." Steven fell silent for a moment. Then, cautiously, "Is that a hint?" Matt smiled, but the warmth was gone. "Just a thought. But I think we'll come back to it if you're up for it." "Sounds like a teaser. Stick around, folks, because it seems Matt Damon didn't just come to talk about his new movie." The audience laughed, but it wasn't as carefree. Attention hung in the air, not aggressive, but like a hidden undercurrent. What happened next shocked even the viewers. Matt sat calmly, relaxed, but his eyes no longer laughed. "I heard you once mistook a briefcase for a bathroom trash can at Helsinki Airport. True story?" Steven winked, his tone carrying that slight mocking edge that sometimes crossed the line between joke and jab. Matt gave a tight smile. His jaw twitched faintly. The cameras caught every micro flicker of nerves, every shadow. "That was funny 10 years ago, Steven," he muttered. "Now it's just played out." Okay, don't get mad, buddy. You've always been that fun guy, right? Leading man. And everyone remembers your gut in The Martian," the host laughed. "I say that with love. You're not offended, are you?" Matt snorted. But this time it wasn't from amusement. "You call that love?" His voice was no longer ironic. It was firm, like a blade sliding across glass. "Every time I come here, and this is my 5th time on this couch, you hide behind your cue cards and jokes, turning my life into an anecdote." Steven was still smiling, but it was strained. The cameras caught his leg nervously bouncing under the desk. "Matt, relax. It's just a show. We're all—" "No, shut up," Damon interrupted, leaning forward. His fingers gripped the edge of the table. "How long am I supposed to tolerate this pseudo-intellectual humiliation with a smile? You're a host, not a judge, not a pastor, not a damn inquisitor with cue cards." The audience fell silent. The quiet hit like a concrete slab. "You've ruined the integrity of this show, Steven," Matt continued, his voice nearly breaking. "It used to be about conversation, about depth. Now, it's your ego trip, where everyone either kisses up or gets diced up for your haha. Matt, we're just—" Steven started, but— "Shut up," sharp, almost hoarse. "Be quiet and listen, because this time I'm not smiling. I'm not playing your game. I'm not a guest. I'm a damn human being, and I'm tired of watching my career get turned into memes." "Maybe the problem's with you, not us," Steven said quietly, but it only poured gasoline on the fire. "The problem? I've acted in films where directors cried after shooting because they couldn't believe it was possible. I've survived sets that would have put you, Steven, in rehab in 2 days. I've paid with my blood, body, and nerves, and you reduce it all to, 'Oh, remember when you tripped on the red carpet?'" The audience was utterly still. The spotlight felt cold. Stephen lowered his eyes to the desk. Want the truth? Your show is a factory of self-obsessed mockery, and I'm done being part of this circus. Matt gripped the armrests, ready to stand. But he didn't yet. You thought I'd always swallow it. But there's a line, Stephen. And tonight, you crossed it. Matt stood slowly. Cameras trembled in the live broadcast. Directors shouted into earpieces. But he didn't care anymore. You've pissed me off, Stephen. Just pissed me off, he said through gritted teeth. Years of putting up with it. Idiotic intros. Rotten jokes. This isn't a show. It's a lit-up dumpster. And I'm not playing in it anymore. He ripped the mic off his jacket, tossed it onto the table with a decisive motion, turned, and walked off stage without looking back. The audience was silent. Even Stephen was silent. Matt walked down the long, dark studio corridor, pursued by journalists, security, and staff. One reporter pushed closer. Matt, what happened? You just walked off live. Do you have anything to say to the viewers? Matt stopped, glanced at the microphone shoved in his face, and without a word, threw it to the ground. The screech of plastic on concrete echoed through the camera. The world spun. Within half an hour, the moment was all over TikTok, YouTube, CNN, Fox. Everyone showed Matt's face, contorted, honest, angry. A Manhattan office. Matt, in a dark t-shirt, sits at a long table. A coffee cup and the same reporter from yesterday are in front of him. The camera's off, for now. Matt, thanks for agreeing to this. After last night's broadcast, everyone wants to know. What happened? Matt stares out the window for a few seconds, then turns to the reporter. You know, I've been holding it in for years. All these interviews where you're forced to laugh when you want to get up and leave. Last night, it happened. Stephen was just the final straw. He constantly pushes you out of reality, but only into his toxic version. And I didn't want to be part of it anymore. Why him specifically? Matt clenches his fists, then slowly unclenches them, deliberately. Because he's a symbol of everything that's treated me wrong for years. Smiles, cameras, venom. You sit in front of him, and he turns you into a meme. Not a person. A joke. And the microphone? The reporter asks cautiously. You threw it on the ground. Matt sighs. His tone softens, becomes more human. Look, that wasn't my finest moment. I was emotional. It's not an excuse, it's an explanation. I was angry, humiliated, and I acted impulsively. I shouldn't have done it. So, you regret it? The microphone? Yeah. The company will get compensation. It's not their fault, I snapped. I've already reached out to the producers. It'll be sorted. But the words? No, I don't regret them. I said what I've been holding in for years, and what a lot of people are afraid to say. And judging by the reaction, it's not just my truth. Aren't you afraid you won't be invited back on air? Matt finally smiles, genuinely, almost with relief. If telling the truth means they don't want to see you, it wasn't your platform. I'm not a victim. I'm an actor. And I'm finally a person, not content. The reporter nods, then turns on the camera. All right, let's start. Matt, thank you for joining us. After last night's show, everyone's asking, what happened between you and Stephen? Matt pauses, then takes a deeper breath. His gaze is sharp but not bitter. Nothing new happened. Just one day something clicks. And you don't want to play by someone else's rules anymore. I put up with it for years, smiled, said what they wanted to hear. But yesterday, enough. I couldn't do it anymore. What got to you? His jokes? Jokes? They always seem like jokes, don't they? But when they laugh at you, not with you, it's not humor. It's control. He's been in that chair for years, thinking he has the right to humiliate whoever's across from him. And I decided. Enough? The reporter nods. What about the microphone moment? Some called it a breakdown. Matt sighs, sets his cup on the table. His voice softens slightly. Yeah, I was emotional. I'm not proud of that moment. The microphone didn't deserve it. The people behind the camera didn't deserve it. I've already apologized to the crew. And I'll cover the damages. That's the right thing to do, but I don't apologize for my words. That wasn't a breakdown. It was the truth. The truth about what? Matt leans forward slightly. His eyes gleam. He's not talking to the reporter anymore, he's speaking to the camera. The truth about living in an era of fakeness, in every broadcast, every interview, every forced emoji when you want to scream, and the older generation knows this better than anyone. The camera blinks. Matt doesn't look away. My parents were born in the 40s. They were taught to stay silent. That tears are weakness, emotions are shame, and that truth isn't spoken aloud, especially when it's inconvenient. But times have changed, and I want to speak to everyone over 60 watching this. You've lived through wars, inflation, had your pensions taken, and now your respect. They've made you feel irrelevant. But you're the backbone of this country. You paid taxes, raised kids, built factories, and put up homes while being ignored. If you're watching this, no, you don't have to stay silent. Not to hosts, not to the government, not to your own kids. You have the right to say, no, this isn't about you anymore. It's about us. The reporter sits quietly. The room is still. What's next for you? He finally asks. Matt smiles, calmly. I'll live another day, and another. But this time, honestly, without this circus. If they don't invite me back, it means I wasn't meant to be there. And if someone out there, sitting on their porch, in their kitchen, or at the park, heard something real in my words, then breaking that microphone was worth it. Is that all? No, Matt says.